Hello, Nathan here with Pixel Pipes, and it's time for another Pixel Box episode. And we have one here from a person that goes by Red Nautilus. So thank you very much, Red Nautilus, in advance. He told me what it is, but I'm not going to say anything and spoil the surprise. So we'll go ahead and open it up and take a look at it. Okay, and it's an ATI Radeon card. What is it specifically? It is an X1300 Pro. This one was sent because he saw my Pixel Fragment video about the AGP version of the X1300 Pro, and he said he had the PCI Express version and he offered to send it, so I could maybe do a comparison. I don't really expect there to be much, if any, performance difference going to PCI Express, which is the native interface for the GPU, but it's cool nonetheless to have the PCI Express equivalent. I can test it on a different platform. So thank you very much. I'll go ahead and give it a test and see if it's working, but let's go ahead and move on to the next package. Alright, and this next one is a sizable box. This actually comes from a user on our Discord. It goes by Pancake Puppy. I already know one of the items that's in here because it actually belongs to me, and I'll explain when I pull it out. But he also said he included some extras in here, so I have no idea what those are, and that'll be fun to find out. So let's go ahead and crack it open. It says 4 cards inside, $79.50 at the bottom. Alright, so that kind of gives a clue. $79.50 was my card, and so we'll get to that last. It was very specific on the cover to open it from this side, so let's see what we have in here. Very well protected. All right. Okay, this is cool. Oh, dude, that's awesome. A Riva 128 PCI. I've been wanting one of these. That is freaking cool. So this would be the 4 meg version. You can tell by looking at the chip, if it's a square shaped chip, it's not the 128 ZX. It is the original one. So this would be the 4 meg version, but on a PCI bus, that's really freaking awesome. And I know exactly where I want to test this. I have an AMD K6 system that just has PCI slots, and I actually want to do a video on that system, and this may be the card I use to test on there. So that is awesome. Thank you very much. Well, I think that's good enough for me. We don't need anything more, so we'll just end it there. Alright, let's see what else is in here. Let's see, this one. What is this? A Chromatic Impact 2 PCI. With this, you probably have the best Impact 2 collection. Tested, but seems really slow, janky. Well, that's pretty common for an Impact 2, but whoa, that's really something. So these are interesting. They have the cutout in the back. You can actually see the chip there, and but the packaging on the front here, that cover there is different from what I'm familiar with. But this one was actually a really good kind of a premium version of this, because it has all the different outputs on here, and the impact, the chromatic impact series mostly was used for DVD decoding, but they were in fact 3D accelerators. The Impact 1 was extremely rare. As far as an actual video card, you can get the DVD accelerators quite easily, and they don't have any outputs like being able to use it as a graphics card, so it's strictly a DVD decoder. But the versions of it that were, you know, with the VGA output, and those are pretty rare, and the Impact 2s are more common, but in this form factor, less so. So just to give you an idea, here's one, and I do want to do a proper video on these cards because it's a really fascinating series. But so this is what I'm talking about. This is the original Impact. This is a DVD accelerator, so no output on there, but it does have, I mean, it has everything else. It has memory on here. It actually uses RD RAM, which was pretty cutting edge for the time, and there is a 3D acceleration in the chip itself. It has the necessary functionality in it for that, but because it wasn't really that competitive or that popular, it was much more useful as a DVD accelerator at a time when CPUs were too slow to do it. So that is really cool of him to send that, and yeah, man, I have a pretty sizable collection of these cards now, as obscure as they are. Just need to find one of these that has the VGA output that can do 3D acceleration, and give that a try. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. So already we're off to a crazy good start. We have one more in here to check out, so really looking forward to seeing what this one is. This thing, what am I looking at? And whoa! An SIS Saber 200 64 meg, everyone's favorite SIS GPU. Original cooler sucked. This one is aftermarket. Well, that is excellent. I'll fully admit I do not have very many SIS cards. In fact, I think I may only have one or two of the really older ones. Maybe. I'm not really sure. I don't really remember, but definitely nothing newer like this one. So I actually had to do a search on the specs and info of this card, because it's not one that I've really kept track of, really done any research on before. I knew vaguely about it. I figured it was probably a DirectX 8 card, and it is. It was released in 2002. The Saber, whatever, 200 was a low end, bottom of the rung. There was a 400 and a 600 above this. Supposedly it has a 128-bit memory interface, which would be nice. I'm not sure, but 200 megahertz on the core and 400 megahertz on the memory. And supposedly it has 4 pixel pipes with 8 texture units, so probably dual texturing in each of the pipes. I don't know how else you would do it. So yeah, it's respectable, I guess, for a low-end card, but probably the bigger issue would be the drivers and the actual, does the performance reflect the theoretical numbers? Maybe not. This would have been competing with things like the Radeon 9000, maybe, later on the 9200, things like that. So on the low end of the market, and usually when something's small like this, yeah, not typically high performance. All right, and then that just leaves the card that I sent to him that he sent back. So we'll do kind of a little explanation story about this one. Right, so this is a card that I purchased several months ago and was really excited to receive. To some of you in the know, you may already recognize it, but if we look at the sticker here, It is a 7950 GT AGP, the 550 megahertz version. So yeah, was ecstatic to find this for an affordable price in its original box and everything, and it looked like it had never been used. So I put it in and started testing it. It got through 2 tests, 3D Mark 2001 and 2003, and then almost got through 2005, and then all of a sudden the screen went glitched and it froze, and when I turned it back off, turned it back on, it was a garbled mess. So the card had literally died within minutes of using it, and considering it was pretty much in brand new condition, that was pretty disappointing. And unfortunately, that tends to be the case with these cards. The XFX model in particular, really highly sought after because this is the fastest AGP NVIDIA card that you can get. The fastest GeForce on an AGP bus, certainly one of the last. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, they pretty much just kill themselves. If you even go back to the Newegg product page and look at the reviews from back when this was sold new, it was happening then as well. So it's not just an age thing, it's a design defect having to do with the PCB layout itself, most likely. There was also really bad solder ball joint issue going on in, the early 2000s, between 2005, 2007, around that time. And I believe this came out in 2006 or 7. So that might have been part of it, but most likely it's related to the VRM, the power circuitry on this card. That just, it kills it. And so I sent this away. Pancake does rework on, computer components. He does it for a living. And for, the price of sending a couple of my cards to him, he was willing to work on this. He reflowed it, didn't help. He went so far as to purchase another replacement G71 GPU from China to install in its place, and that didn't fix it either. So it could be the memory was corrupt, or it could be that the power circuitry just isn't getting proper power to the GPU anymore. Whatever the case, you put it in, it's a garbled mess. So the sad conclusion, the sad ending to the story is that he was not able to revive it. And this was a critical piece in a upcoming video that I've been wanting to work on for a long time. And really, really disappointing. Sadly, you don't like to see unhappy endings, but that's just the way it is sometimes. And I won't be trying again. If I ever see another one for sale, I'm not going to bother, because I just don't think these cards are very well made in general. I think this one was definitely a misstep for XFX. They did not do their proper design work to make sure that it was durable enough, and that really, really shows. So once again, thank you so much, Pancake Puppy, for sending these cards to the channel and doing everything you could to try and fix my 7950 GT. So I know you did your best, and I really appreciate that. And you didn't have to send this stuff to me. Really, this is quite generous of you, and some really good stuff in here that can be used for future video purposes. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next package. All right, so we're out in the living room because my film table is a huge mess right now. So yeah, I'm just going to use the coffee table here for this one. This actually comes from Watson from the Pixel Talk Discord servers, actually one of the most active members there. Actually, it was a purchase that I made off of him. He actually works for a computer recycling company that many of you might have heard of called Free Geek. He, is one of the people there that tries to catch and find and salvage the more retro parts. Of course, they do probably most of their stuff with more modern computers that are still semi-useful for modern day tasks. But of course, they do really good work in terms of not letting these computers go to waste and finding homes for them. And he's one of the people that works there that tries to do that for things like this, like retro hardware. So this is one of those parts that he found, and he immediately messaged me about it because he kind of recognized that it was something I would be interested in. And he jumped through a lot of hoops to get this for me. He's actually been really helpful to a lot of the members on the Discord community. So a big shout out and thank you to Watson for just being an all-around awesome person. And I'll kind of explain more as we open it up and get into it. But he did mention there's some extras in here, so that should be exciting to see. All right, so it's inside of an ASRock motherboard box. That is not what it says it is. All right, is this taped? Nope. All right, so let's have a look here. Ooh. All right, so right away I see some cards. These were not one of the things I purchased. These are some of the extras. So actually, I'm going to set these to the side. I'll get a better look at those later. Feels like there's something in here too. So let's talk about the thing that I actually purchased first. So it is a motherboard. We'll just take it out here. All right, so there it is. As you can see, it is a slot 1 motherboard. As you can see, it is an Intel chipset. Let's see if I can get up close here. So yeah, the 443LX, and quick Google tells me this is the Intel 440LX chipset, part of the Intel 440 chipset family, the predecessor to the famous, much loved 440BX. So the LX was the predecessor, a fairly common chipset. This came out of an OEM system, and this at first glance doesn't seem all that remarkable, but one of the most obvious standout things is this heatsink right here. So you do have the North Bridge and the South Bridge, so what's that? Well, I mean, I'm a graphics card guy, so maybe it's a graphics chip, right? That is in fact what it is. Right, so this graphics chip is from Chromatic Research, a very little known company in the graphics world. Definitely one of the earlier companies to enter the 3D accelerator market. And this chip in particular is the Impact 2, the second generation Impact. I mean, it wasn't necessarily all that competitive. It originally came out in 1997. And it actually utilized RDRAM, which not a lot of graphics chips did at the time, but this bolstered the memory bandwidth quite a bit compared to other contemporaries, particularly in the budget range. Now, typically, of course, the Impact 2 is more commonly seen like this on a graphics card. It did come in both AGP and PCI flavors with no real difference in performance. This particular card from STB has a date of 1998 on it. Originally, the chip came out in 97 and just kind of loitered around until it fizzled out and disappeared, never really catching on. Probably mostly known or found in OEM systems, so not much retail success. As you can see, both in the case of this graphics card and the motherboard, there's actually spots to add more memory. This was 4 megs of memory in both of these examples, but I do have PCI examples, I believe in the same video one is shown, that has all the chips populated and a full 8 megs of memory. But truth be told, it's not terribly useful on this card, just given the speed that it provides. It's a very interesting architecture that I wish to dive into in a more in-depth scripted video later on, because I do find them really fascinating, and I've kind of found myself sort of collecting them. So that's part of why Watson kind of spotted this. And obviously the heatsink is exactly the same, the memory is exactly the same. I mean, if you just took this center section out, it's like it just was pasted into the design of this motherboard. There's also a Creative Sound chip there. I'll have to look that up. Maybe I'll put some text on the screen of what that is. But this definitely will go into that video. I'll have to find a slow enough CPU that works in here. Yeah. Anyway, so very cool to have this one. I don't usually collect motherboards, but if there's an interesting onboard graphics chip on it, that piques my interest for obvious reasons. So the motherboard was a purchase, but these were not. These are actually donations. So let's delve into these and see what we got here. Nice. So we have some SD RAM. They appear to be different from each other. Both PC100. This one is Castellatin C2. This one appears to be CL3. So they're different. But very nice to have. Single-sided memory, so good for older systems. Funny enough, I don't really have a lot of RAM, particularly SD RAM. But these graphics cards, okay. Let's see what we have here. Oh, this one's newer. PCI Express ATI. Even has DisplayPort on there, so I'm gonna guess this is probably Terascale. Alright, well, had to do a quick search, but this is a Radeon HD 3650. So yeah, one of the lower mid-range cards, very cool. This one has 120 stream processors, 8 texture mapping units, 4 ROPs, has 256 megs of DDR3 memory on a 128-bit bus. Yeah, that's a nice little inclusion there. Thank you very much. And this one, ooh, a BFG card. I think I know what this is. Yes. So this is a GeForce 4 Ti 4200, the 64 meg version. This is one that he offered to me to purchase, and I initially was interested in it, but I eventually kind of had to turn it down because I just wanted to spend the money elsewhere, and here he's giving it to me, so that's really generous, nice of him to do that. I have TI 4200s, but not the 64 meg version. And, you know, this is something I kind of want to do, you know, a comparison with the 128 meg version. Something like that isn't really that interesting as a standalone video, I don't think. I mean, at one point I kind of entertained the thought of doing that, you know, just comparing memory sizes between similar models of cards, but I thought that would be really dry content. So generally speaking, the plan is to, whenever I have cards of different size memories, I'll just include them, just kind of throw them in to the larger review of the graphics card. Yeah, I really appreciate it, Watson, so thank you very much. So yeah, that's the package I got from Watson. Very awesome stuff included here. Some really nice donations, and of course this motherboard, which is really unique. And So yeah, that will about do it for this episode of Pixel Box. Thank you very much to my Discord members, the Pixel Talk Discord server, Watson and Pancake Puppy. Yeah, you guys are awesome. And yeah, if you guys want to join in the conversation, Pixel Talk, there's a link down below in the description. It is open for anyone to join. It's an extremely active retro server with hundreds of members, and we talk retro, like actually talk retro. We have some extremely knowledgeable people on there that put my knowledge to shame, quite frankly. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, take care.